Let's finish it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Closing Pitch, where two hosts bring up a topic, discuss, and deliver their closing pitches, similar to the last 30 seconds of a presidential debate. My name is Spiker Helms, and I am joined by my co-host, David Birkby. This is a show about culture, people, and creating a winning lifestyle. Today's topic is about winners and losers, what separates them. With this conversation also comes with what is being average as well. What we did was we both decided to make up a top 3 list, and this list has not been shared between us, and we're going to have a friendly debate over what we believe makes a real winner. Before we start, Dave, how is your hair doing?
Not good. I'm wearing a hat,
As
and
I am.
what'd you call me, the mad scientist?
Yeah.
Because the sides of my hair, they grow so fast, man. It's like crazy. My top doesn't grow that fast, but this does, so it just looks terrible.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I actually told Shandi that I'm in the market for anyone who would like to come over and cut my hair. I will pay a premium for this.
I'm trying to get my wife to do it, and she keeps refusing. So
because I don't know if I can go to the whole bald look again. I do like my hair.
You can't go back. You can't go back, my friend. It looks too good.
No. So today we're going to be talking about what makes winners and what makes a loser, and then also being average comes into the topic as well. So let's go down the list. Do you want to start from the third one or start with number 1?
Say that again?
The top 3 choices for being a winner or a loser.
Oh, my number 1?
Yeah. No. So when we start out, do you want to go from the top or do you want to start from the bottom?
The top.
You want to start with the top. So you want to go with number 1 first.
Our number 1 choice.
Yes, our number 1 choice is that makes a winner.
Now I understand what you're talking about. You caught me off guard there. I don't know if I had a ranking system to my 3, so whichever way you want to go, we can go.
So diplomatic.
Got to. Play the middle.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on number 3 and then work myself to the top choice.
That'll work.
So the first one that I have is that a winner niches themselves based on their skill set, and they play to their strengths and understand their weaknesses. So when you niche yourself, you end up carving out a spot that is just you. That is the thing, because if you can niche yourself, you end up becoming the sole person of that topic. And when you play to your strengths, that's your greatest asset. That's what makes you unique. A lot of people talk about weaknesses, which are very important. You need to know your weaknesses, but everyone says that you need to work on your weaknesses. That's true, but I think a lot of people focus too heavily on their weaknesses. Winners really focus in on their strengths, and they grow those strengths while still working on their weaknesses.
That's cool. I like that topic, man, because I'll just give you what I thought of right when you said it. I kind of thought of you. And, I mean, obviously it's your topic, what you brought up, but immediately where my mind went was to – you started with the Tigers like 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. Immediately my mind went to, did you know how to edit? Did you know how to do any of the content creation that you did? You didn't know how to do any of that, to my knowledge. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that's your niche, right? Because if any of us need anything right now in the content creation world or editing or anything else, who do we go to in the company?
Me.
So you're pretty important part of the company now, right? You would think so. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be that like humble about it, but it's true, you know? So I think, everybody, it's important to create that. What's your specialty? What's your purpose in the company? And really expand on that. Make sure that you are making yourself very important.
And someone's probably wondering, well, Spike, you didn't have that strength of editing or Photoshop or anything like that. You're absolutely correct. But one thing that I did have, which I knew that it was going to be a strength, was I had a huge passion for it. So when I was in high school, I did a lot of the walk-up music for our high school baseball team. I loved editing different songs. I loved looking at pictures and trying to figure out how I could manipulate it. I wasn't very good at it at all because I didn't spend a lot of time on it. My focus was primarily on sports and trying to become a collegiate athlete. So my time wasn't focused in on that spot. But I think curiosity got the best of me, and that was a strength of mine was let's go down this route and see what happens. And what's funny about it is I didn't even go to school for it. I was actually an economics major, so I was a numbers guy.
You went to the school of YouTube.
Yeah, literally, like, and that's going to go down to another part of being a winner, which didn't really make my list at the top. I actually had more than 3, but curiosity is a big thing when it comes to winning. A lot of guys don't. The ones that lose they don't feed that curiosity, and they don't wonder. They don't ask questions. Questions is a huge part of figuring out who you are and how to win.
Questions are hard, right? That takes an extra level of effort, and sometimes guys just don't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that I wonder, like, if I was living in the 1940s, how would I live without YouTube or Google or anything like that?
Without your phone?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Crazy.
What's your number 3?
Okay. I'm going to choose pay attention to the little details. I think if you look at any successful company, any successful person, they are always focused on tiny little details and making sure that those are done right. So, like, example, you get these grand pictures, grand ideas in business or with a team or whatever. In order to make that grand picture work, there's so many little things that go into that. And successful people, successful businesses are always making sure that those don't get lost. I mean, we have meetings constantly just getting updates on current situations, where we're at with our projects, and we're always talking about these tiny little details. Maybe it's making sure you go over that project proposal for grammar like 3 times, making sure that that looks perfect, making sure that, you know, you're meticulous with your social media posts, with your content creation. I mean, you always send out, hey, double check this, let's look this over, make sure it looks right, because you only get one first impression with it. So making sure that you're paying attention to the smallest details, I think, is a huge separator in winners and losers.
Right now, I'm really good friends with a doctor. He's probably 15, 20 years older than me. And it's a really cool relationship because it's a one-to-one relationship. Like, he treats me as his counterpart, not like a little brother or anything like that. But we've become really good friends. And one thing that we talked about was the details. He's so detailed oriented, it's unbelievable. But one thing that's really interesting about him is he's not like a normal doc. Like, he's very personable. He has a business type mindset. But one thing that he always talks to me about is you have to be very detailed oriented. If you're not, in my business, the patient won't trust me. And if you think about different businesses, the ones that are really successful, those are the ones that are very detailed oriented because it gains trust over time. I mean, think about Apple. I mean, I have an Apple product. You have a what?
iPhone. Apple.
You have an Asus.
We're talking computers. Yes, my Asus.
Yes, but
not living the Mac life.
But if you think about like how Apple computers are made, they've been. If you're not an Apple user, like the news and trends is a big thing for people that love Apple products. But they struggled for the last 3 years, and now the 2020 MacBook Pro is like a beast, an absolute beast, like from head to toe. Just detailed oriented to the T, and I was so nervous of making that purchase because of the asking price. And if you don't know the price, just look it up, and you'll be like, holy smokes, once you deck it all out. And I decked mine out, and it's probably the best purchase I've made in the last 3 years.
But it fits your needs. It's allowing you to open up and do crazier, more awesome stuff, right?
Yeah, well, and it just even the keys, like they're so they worried about the littlest details on the keys. And it's soft to the touch. It's quiet, and it's really easy and smooth when you use the keyboard. It's weird that I'm talking about a keyboard, but that's how detailed oriented.
If it makes the difference, it makes the difference.
Yeah. Well, even the fans. I mean, everyone's like, all right, let's move on from this topic. But I mean, how they cool down the actual computer is impressive. Like, I looked into it because like my computer would overheat, and then next thing you know, it's like cool in a matter of 5 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw, and just to go one more thing on this topic, I think because me and you were texting back and forth on topics the other night, and an example popped in my head, right? Because I saw it on, believe it was Instagram, and it was a well-known business owner in our area, and I saw that she was shipping products from her home, and it was like a clothing product, but within that shipment, she included a handwritten thank you card to that person for the purchase, and like encouraged them about rocking that piece of clothing. And I just thought that was like, holy cow, next step, attention to detail. What do you think that customer is going to think when she gets that?
It's the unscalable. I mean, I remember we'd write letters, and the first thing we said was, man, this is going to be really tough. This is a lot of work. But we're doing it.
Because no one likes writing. I hate writing.
I know. No one likes writing, but when you receive that letter, what does it do to you?
Dude, to me, like, I'd be a lifelong customer just because of that letter. Because that's something that nobody does. No one's going to take that extra effort to do that. And whether or not, I mean, obviously I got to like the product, and I'm sure the product is great. But that, which normally would be the difference as to why I would go back and purchase or not, honestly, that is to the side now. The reason I go back and purchase because that owner, that person took the time to write me that letter and show care, show empathy, show gratitude. And it's just not something that people do.
No,
and it's a separator.
Not even like a product base. Like you see real estate agents do it, and you see insurance agents do it. I mean, I don't want to knock on any industry right now, but I mean, when some of you guys send out letters, it's like, excuse my language, half-assed, and it's like you typed it up and then you did a stamp of a signature.
Right.
It's like that just makes me feel all slimy and stuff.
Right.
So, but I think when you think about it, it's those details, the details of you actually writing the letter.
Makes all the difference.
Yep. My number 2 is they're not okay with being average. Winners don't like to be average, and they aspire to break away from the pack. And that's a really hard thing to do because as humans, we are tribe-based. We are people that love to be a part of communities. And when you talk about someone who wants to break away and win on their own, it's really hard to do that because you have a lot of insecurities that come up during that journey. And for average people, they just don't want to be taken out. And they don't want to be a person that is out from the crowd. They're a little nervous. They get a little antsy when that happens. Winners don't do that. They actually want to thrive in that situation. They want to break away and be like, I am unique. I am different. Please see who I am.
First thing I thought when you said that was how hard that is to do. That is like, even some of the guys who are some of the best winners and driven people that I know, like that's really difficult.
You got to be okay with someone hating you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's friendships, man. That's people that sometimes you're around. And I get it. You got to make those tough decisions. I ultimately think if you want to win, if you want to be that successful, driven person and not be associated with people who are not like that, those are tough decisions, man.
Think about Tom Brady. How many people hated Tom Brady in the early 2000s?
Probably a ton.
Oh, ton of people. I mean, the only people that loved him was the Boston faithful.
Well, think about all the tough decisions he has, or the tough actions he had to do, right? So just become that leader. Like, think about, I mean, I wonder how many tough conversations he had to have with his own players. Like, come up to my level, dude, right? We are not okay with 8-8. We are not okay with not making the playoffs. This is not your average organization. You know, that's how it looks from the outside that those guys always operated.
Well, there's stories of Michael Jordan where he would literally yell like absolute obscenity things to his teammates.
Yeah.
Like he ran the show.
Yeah.
And he was not okay with losing. Not okay.
I don't think that guy's okay with losing at anything.
Oh, a guy who wrote a really good book on just the backstory of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant was Tim Grover. I read it. I can't remember the name of the book. Unstoppables. I'll look it up here really quick. But he talked about just the mentality of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and he was more in the basketball space. He wasn't anywhere else. And he labels these guys as different things throughout the book. And Michael Jordan was at the pinnacle. Kobe Bryant was at the pinnacle. LeBron James was like right in the middle. Dwayne Wade was at the pinnacle. And it was really interesting to hear his thoughts on it. Like, they would do anything to win. They'd put their bodies through absolute anything to make sure that they could get on top.
It reminds me of a story I heard. It was of a manager of a baseball organization, well, like a major league team. Mm-hmm. And this guy was so competitive and so driven to win that naturally it trickled over to every other part of his life. And I heard a story that this guy was playing cards with some of his friends, and he was notoriously awful if he was losing because he hated it so much that if he lost and he lost his money and it was going away, that game's over. It's done. So it's just funny how it trickles over and how competitive people, how people who don't want to be average and can't stand it, just don't put up with it.
The book is, I have it on the screen right now. It's Relentless: From Good to Great to Unstoppable. I did not read it. I listened to it on Audible, which we are not sponsored. We don't have a sponsor from Audible. But I would definitely listen to it. The audiobook is awesome. I actually listened to it in an airport as I was walking around just waiting for my flight. And it literally just changed how I thought about certain things and how, like, oh, this makes sense why I do this, or this makes sense why I don't do this, or why some people do this and I don't do that. So it's a really interesting book. I would look into it. It's called Relentless by Tim S. Grover. If you're watching, I have it up on the screen right now.
Cool.
So, Dave, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is innovation, evolving, and never stop learning. I think if you see, again, I'm going to go back to this example, but if you look at successful people, they never think that they have it all figured out. It is a constant evolution of themselves, of their business, of their game, whatever it is. They're always trying to find that next thing that is going to help them, what you so-called level up, right? Mm-hmm. And that is so important because I think, we get caught up all the time thinking that we figured it out. Thinking that we've found that, that formula, that something that's going to make us be successful. And yeah, that's great to kind of, be happy that you figured that out, but you should never stop. And the best people that I've been around, whether it be coaches, whether it be, people within the industry, they're always talking about learning. Like when we were at the ABCA this year, it was a huge just area for learning, for growth, for development, for personal development, for building relationships. And it was such an awesome couple days. And that's true within anything. It's just always trying to find that next thing that's going to help you.
Curiosity. It is an unbelievable asset if you have it. If you don't have it, try to figure out how to get curiosity. I think with my short career right now into the business world, because I think I'm going to run it all the way up until I'm like 80, 90. I think I'm going to die while I work. Yeah. Just because I love it so much. But everything that I've done so far up to this point I've been so curious about things. I mean, even with baseball, when I look back at my career when I was getting recruited, I was so curious. I'm like, how did it work? How did someone go from being a 0 to now I'm at Florida State or the University of Florida? I was so curious about that. And my dream school was Notre Dame. Never got there, but at least I got to step on that campus as a preferred recruit. Like, they actually wanted me to come on to campus and see a football game. And this was like before they actually did. It was an unofficial visit. But if I wasn't curious, I don't think I ever would have experienced the University of Notre Dame. No.
And that curiosity is unlimited, right? It like never stops within you. Mm-hmm. And that's what you got to have. That's what you got to find. If you don't have it, find it. Start thinking about it. Start always being curious as to what's that it factor? What's that thing that I can find to help me, to help grow, to help better? Because if you have that every day, think of that. Think of where you're going to be at in 3 years. It's pretty mind blowing when you think like that.
Well, even like video editing. The reason I got so curious about it is I was watching. I think it was Harry Potter back in the day. I was watching Harry Potter.
Which one?
I forgot. I think it was like
I love Harry Potter.
I didn't watch all the Harry Potters. I'll be honest. I didn't even read all the books.
I read 2.5, and then I stopped, but I watched all the movies.
But the CGI was just so mind-boggling. Like if you look at it now, like it's almost laughable.
Yeah.
But I just found it so interesting, and it actually made me want to take a class in college, which was it was film literature. And that's when I started getting really into it. Like we had to write about like different storylines and everything like that. But I was so interested in like, how did they actually shoot that? How did they actually pull that off? And that's when I got into really like digging into like, what is this editing thing? How do you do it? And then I got my first camera, which was a point and shoot. And then ever since then, I've been geeking out on it.
Well, you know me. I'm a process guy, right? So when you're saying that, I immediately start to think of why is he doing that? Why was he curious about editing? And then all the way to the end question, how is it going to help him and how is it going to help the business? Take us through that.
I never really thought about it as like, I didn't have a connecting point yet. So it wasn't like I was learning it and I was finding like, oh, this is really cool. I really enjoy it. This is like a pastime for me.
But did you see like other areas or other companies doing it? Or
I saw it right when I came out of college. And I was working at a facility, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is the new thing. This is gonna explode someone that's a zero and make them into a multi-million-dollar company. If you can scale it and you can figure out how to hone in on media, because what was happening was I was so consumed by YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I was learning more on YouTube than I was in my classes. That's when it clicked for me.
So
I was in my 5th year for college.
Yeah.
It was in between that time frame. Like I was on YouTube, and like it was during that spring when I was about to come out of college. That's when I realized it. And then I said, all right, whatever I do, I need to make sure that I'm niched into this platforms.
Yeah, because something happened, like, and I can't pinpoint it, but I remember having conversations with you, and this was years and years ago, but I remember having conversations with you, and your mindset and your focus shifted towards this. Like, you went hard in the paint on this, and it is, I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, it has drastically helped our company, helped our business, helped our players, helped our families. They love it. That's where their attention is. But you kind of hit that all-in button on this at an early phase, I think, before a lot of people did. And obviously, I mean, it's proven to be just where everybody's focus is.
Yeah, it's starting to mature, too, which is really interesting. So I think in the future, these platforms, like literally it's the internet. It is the internet. I'm a big fan of a lot of the entrepreneurs that are in the space right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Andy Frisella, Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, a lot of people know who these people are that are in this social media space. But before Gary even said that this is the internet, that's what I thought. Like I couldn't verbalize it, but that's what I thought was like, this is where everything's at, and you have to be very good at it. And if you're curious, you are going to be very successful in these platforms. And you can see, like, I wish I would have went all in on Instagram and literally just said, I'm going to do this. That's all I'm going to do is do Instagram. Mm-hmm. Because whoever did that won, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago. You can still do well.
Yeah.
But I mean, people that are doing TikTok right now, those are going to be the new celebrities.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Logan Paul and it's Jake Paul, right?
I think so. I'm not really sure.
I mean, I don't follow them, but I remember watching Logan on Vine, and he ended up becoming Logan Paul, and then his brother came in.
It's evolving real fast.
Yeah. Even Liza. I mean, people are like, "Who's Liza Koshy?" But Liza Koshy.
I don't know her.
That's another one. She interviewed the president of the United States when Obama was it was the Obama administration. She literally interviewed Obama, and she was a Vine star. And the only reason she was there is because she was curious. And she was all in on Vine. And guys, if you're thinking about being a celebrity or anything like that, that's great. But the moral of the story of this is that you got to be curious, no matter what industry it's in or what interest you have. Go towards that passion, go towards that curiosity, and try to be the best in that topic.
Who's up, man? We went down a rabbit hole with that one.
I know. Well, we are. I think it's number. No, wait. Let me pull up my notes here. I went number 2. What was your number 2? Yeah,
I said my number 2.
So yeah,
so
it's
am I on
mine.
number 3?
It's mine now. Number 1.
Okay.
Number 1 is they know what they're worth before anyone else knows what they're worth.
Explain.
So Muhammad Ali's famous quote. I don't want to butcher it, but basically, he knew who he was before anyone else knew who he was. He knew that he was the champ. And if you know what you're worth, you have a drive in you that can go past any type of criticism. If you don't have that confidence and you don't have that belief in yourself, you're not going to go very far. You're going to end up being average, and you're probably going to be more in the loss column than in the win column. And Muhammad Ali, I mean, a lot of people like praise him now, but if you look back at his history, there's a good documentary on HBO, and he was criticized left and right. Like, he was just brutal. It's like Conor McGregor right now. So many people do not like Conor McGregor. They hate him because they don't realize that he's putting on a show. Everything that he does, there is a purpose behind it. Even though he says, oh, I didn't mean to do this or I didn't mean to do that. No, he is doing it on purpose. He's trying to grab eyeballs. It's the same thing like with Elon Musk when he did that marketing campaign where he threw a brick against the truck, and then everyone's like, oh, what an idiot. He threw a brick at a window and it broke, and now it's a bad product. No, it was a marketing ploy. And it was the same thing with Conor McGregor when he went after Khabib on the buses. He wanted to make some noise, and he was willing to risk everything. Now, I'm not condoning it, but he was willing to risk everything to make sure that he had that fight with him and he could get eyeballs on that fight. Same thing when he went after Floyd Mayweather. Mm-hmm. Same thing. He went over the top. But if you really dig into who he is as a person, he believed he was better than everybody else before it actually happened.
Knowing your worth, I think for some people, like those examples you just gave, it's like they knew it before anyone else. I think those are special circumstances. Mm-hmm. I really think those are like, I mean, again, those people just always had that inner belief, always knew what their value was, and were willing to do anything to get it and show it. I think for the average person, and I'll put myself in that category, knowing your worth, it can be built. So by doing all the things that we've basically talked about so far in this episode, by doing that and evolving and getting better, leveling up, whatever you can say, I think you develop that inner worth. Okay. And it is really important to know what your value is, though.
Hold on 1 minute. So one thing about us, I got a camera on us and it's about to tax out.
Uh-oh.
Continue their conversation. I'm going to get up, press that button, so then it ends up being back on. So
got it.
We got it. Okay, go ahead.
So when you talk about knowing your worth, knowing how to get it, I think it's developed, guys. I think it's built by just putting in that sweat equity, putting in that time. And when you know what your worth is, it's I don't know how I'm going to phrase this. I don't think it's like you should sit there and say, hey, I'm this valuable person. I'm this commodity, and this is what you need to pay me, and this is how you need to respect me. I don't think you need to do that or take that approach. But it can certainly help you kind of develop where your focus is and where your attention should be, and I think that's important.
And don't get it wrong. Like, again, when those guys are on TV and they're saying, like, oh, I am the greatest, that's a show. My thing is deep down in your heart, do you know what you're worth? Do you know do you know who you could be? And if you don't know that, that's where you got to start. You got to start there. Yeah. Who am I supposed to be? And that's a really tough question. That's a real deep-seated question. And I think that's a lot of soul searching on the individual. But don't get it twisted that you have to have that before you can become great and become a winner. if you don't have that, you're kind of hoping that the world deals you a
We'll just find
good,
you.
Yeah, deals you a pretty good hand and
win the lottery.
And I'm not big on just waiting. I'm a big action guy. If you keep providing action, something good is going to happen. You're going to create your own luck.
Well, I think that's going to go right into my last topic, okay? And that is my top number one was have that inner drive to succeed at all times. Have that inner drive to win, constant focus on growth and just being better. It's such an easy phrase to say. It really is. But proven winners, the guys who win over and over and over and over, and it seems like they can't lose. It's not luck. It's that inner drive that they're just not going to lose. The best competitors on the field have it. The best guys and the best CEOs have it. It is that inner thing that every morning I'm waking up and I'm winning.
Well, it's not hard work. That's a big thing. Like, if you work hard, you're going to make it. No, that's not true. Like, you have to have a purpose and you have to have a drive. Yes, if I just show up, I've done half the work. Now I've got to do what you're saying, which is I have to have a passion and a drive to get better every single day. When I walk into, with our world, a baseball or softball facility, I have to have a purpose, not just to be there to show up and sit around and just talk to people. There has to be such an inner drive that, okay, this is what I'm going to work on today. This is what I'm going to work on tomorrow. When I trained, when I was playing, Christmas was not off. That was not an off day for me. And I had a purpose behind that day. And I always looked forward to Christmas because that was the day that everyone stopped and I got to work and I got to gain an advantage on that 24 hours. And I had a direct purpose on that. One year, me and my dad ended up flying all the way down to San Antonio because I was worried about not being ready for the season because I needed to see something. I needed to fix something in my swing where I had to be outside and I had to hit balls off of a tee outside to see how the ball was traveling. That was the year that ended up changing my career and making me a really successful college player instead of just a mediocre college player.
And guys, it sounds like a cliche. I'm telling you, it really does. But it's in my opinion the number one separator. It's that drive, like doing those extra things that other people aren't willing to do to win. It's really that important.
Guys, that is the episode for today. We've gotten to our top 3 things that make winners winners and losers losers and just average people average. What is your closing pitch?
I mean, we had a lot of good topics today, but my closing pitch would be, I always kind of leave these things simple, it seems like, but sometimes simple is the best. So, guys, try to find that inner drive. Try to find out what's important to you in your life and be willing to sacrifice and do almost anything to achieve it within the bounds of, appropriate. But be willing to do what others aren't, and you will find success.
My closing pitch is the whole book, Relentless. If you have not read that book, I think you should. It is an unbelievable written piece of work by Tim Grover, who was the trainer of Michael Jordan, and he really breaks down who the winners are and why they're winners.
Awesome.
All right, guys, thanks for joining in with us on this episode. We use an app called Anchor where you can voice your closing pitch. If you don't want to do that, we do accept direct messages and we do accept written word in the comments. So please comment below and we will check out those closing pitches. And also, please subscribe to this podcast, whether you are on iTunes, follow it. If you're on Spotify, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and give us a like. And also, please review our podcast. Reviews are absolutely huge for us when it comes into the podcasting world. 5-star preferably. Write in a review too. That helps too. That actually helps out even more than just giving the 5-star rating. Anything else, Dave?
Nope. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya. Thank you for watching or listening or both to The Closing Pitch. If you would like to get your closing pitch featured on the show, we use a podcasting app called Anchor where you can submit your statement or question via audio, or what you can do is comment in the comment section of this post. We also accept direct messages. Please give us the A-OK if you do send us a DM to use your statement or question on the show. Last thing, please give us a review on your platform of choice, 5-star preferably, and we value your opinion, and this allows us to reach more people. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you in the next episode.